I've always loved the Tales series. The music, the characters, the feeling of adventure. Tales of Xillia had all of that and more. With the new release of Tales of Xillia Remastered, I figured now is the perfect time to go over a few things I really wish I'd known before I started my first playthrough.
I see. So this is what you call hunger.
I've been obsessed with the Tales series ever since Tales of Eternia on the PlayStation. I still remember grabbing Tales of Xillia on launch day for the PlayStation 3, and that opening theme, it hooked me instantly. Before we jump right into today's video though, drop a like, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, and I'd love to hear your own Xillia tips down in the comments. Whether you're playing for the first time or revisiting Rieze Maxia, here are 5 tips I wish I knew before I started Tales of Xillia. When you start Tales of Xillia, the game gives you a choice between 2 protagonists, Jude Mathis and Mila Maxwell. It's an interesting concept, 2 characters with 2 different perspectives on the same story. Naturally, I picked Mila on my first run because, come on, she's the Lord of Spirits. She commands elemental power, she's kinda mysterious, and her design looks far more like a main character than Jude ever could. However, I hate to say it, but that was the wrong decision. I didn't realize that about 70% into the story, Mila leaves the party for quite some time. And during that stretch, her side of the story feels bare bones and empty. You miss out on so much that's going on with the rest of the cast, and it can make the middle section feel kind of disjointed. Jude's route, on the other hand, gives you the complete picture of what's going on. You see events unfold with better pacing, you get more time with the full party, and you experience the emotional depths of the story as it was clearly intended for first-time players. If you're only planning to play the game once, Jude's story is by far the better experience. But Tales of Xillia is one of those games that begs for a second playthrough, so start with Jude. You'll understand the world and its themes so much better. And when you eventually go back for Mila's route, you'll appreciate her perspective so much more. Second, keep an eye out for those side quests. If you're the type to focus on the main story first, I get it. Xillia's pacing is incredibly quick. The story is fantastic, and you're going to want to know what happens next in the plot. However, if you sprint through the main story, you will miss some genuinely great stuff. Xillia's side quests aren't really just filler to extend the game. They give you amazing accessories and rare items, but the real reason to do them is the character development. You get little slice of life moments that flesh out the cast in ways the main story never does. Speaking of which, also don't skip the skits. The skits are also great for character development. But that being said, a lot of the side quests are missable. Once you move too far in the story, certain NPCs will disappear and you'll lose your chance forever. My advice? Every time you arrive in a new town, make it a habit to talk to everyone. Check every corner, interact with everything, and if you want to be safe, use a guide. I've linked a great one in the description that lists every side quest in order. It's the one I used way back in 2013. Now it does use the Japanese town and character names, but it's easy enough to decipher. It doesn't spoil anything, it just helps you know when to stop and explore. Doing these quests adds so much texture to the world of Rieze Maxia, and you'll appreciate how much more alive it feels when you slow down and take it all in. Now with this all being said, don't quote me on this, but I believe the remaster of Tales of Xillia actually has it on the map where all the side quests are, so you might not have to worry about missing out on them. Next, learn your character's special and link abilities. Xillia's combat system might be up there as one of the best in the series, once you really dig into it. At first, it's easy to fall into the habit of just stringing together combos and letting the AI do its thing. But when you start learning each character's unique mechanics, the game truly opens up. For example, Jude's snap pivot lets him sidestep enemy attacks with perfect timing and instantly counterattack. Once you get the hang of it, it makes it feel incredibly fluid, almost as if you're playing a full-fledged action game instead of a JRPG. Leia's got her elongating staff, which lets her extend her reach and helps her juggle enemies in midair. Alvin's charge lets him power up his arts for bonus damage, and Mila's spirit shift completely changes the properties of her magic spells. And then there are the link abilities, which makes you feel like you're actually fighting with your allies and not just around them. When you link with your characters, you get different abilities. For example, Alvin, you get Breaker, which will automatically break the guard if you're attacking a guarding enemy. Or Elise's Drain ability, it helps you keep up your HP and your TP. And then there's Item Steal with Leia, which I think is the most important one. You can get rare drops from enemies, and you want to make sure to use that for every single boss fight. Every combination feels different, and experimenting with links is a lot of fun. Once you start paying attention to these systems and learning when and where to use these skills effectively, the combat transforms from simple button mashing into something much deeper than you might think at first glance. Every encounter feels rewarding and boss battles become much more exciting as a result. Make sure you expand your Lillium Orb as soon as possible. The Lillium Orb is Xillia's answer to the Sphere Grid from Final Fantasy X, a web of those interconnected nodes that let you unlock stats, arts, and skills as you level up. It's one of those systems that feels very simple at first, but there's a trick to getting the most out of it. A lot of players, myself included, made the mistake of filling in every little node in a circle before expanding outwards. But what you really want to do is focus on expanding the orb early. When you connect nodes that reach the outer rings, you'll unlock access to a higher tier skill much sooner. On the outer ring, you'll see one orb that has a more intricate looking ring around it. Focus on that one, and then do 2 others on the outer ring and it'll expand to a new layer. Doing this gives you access to better arts, better stat bonuses, and even better passive skills long before you'd normally get them. It also helps the early and mid game feel a lot smoother because you'll be hitting harder and you can take more damage. That Lillium Orb is also very satisfying to look at. It's this growing network of light that visually represents your progress. Every time you expand it, you feel like your character is growing. And the best part, you can kind of customize your growth however you like. Like you can focus on offense for Jude, defense for Leia, or support for Elise. There isn't builds per se, and you'll end up filling up every node by the end, but the early and mid game boost really helps. You get points every time you level up. Don't be afraid to spend those points immediately. The earlier you branch out, the faster you unlock the tools that make Tales of Xillia's battle system really shine. And for the last one, don't waste your gold to upgrade your shops. Seriously, this one might save you several hours of grinding. The shop system in Tales of Xillia is clever. You can donate materials or money to increase the shop's level, which unlocks better gear, better discounts, and even new equipment or items. But the trick is that gold is never worth it. Money is already hard enough to come by, especially at the beginning of the game, so you want to save it wherever you can. Instead, focus on donating materials. Different materials give different amounts of experience, and sometimes you'll get multipliers. Usually it's 2 times, but occasionally you'll see 3 times. When you see that 3 times multiplier, that's when you want to dump your best materials into the shop right away. It'll skyrocket your level gains instantly, giving you access to stronger and stronger equipment or items. Save your higher value material for these multiplier windows. It's easily the most efficient way to upgrade. And as a bonus tip, if you want to farm more, once you reach Nia Kara, which is an hour or 2 into the game, you'll get access to an area called the Flood Meadow. It's filled with higher level monsters that drop top tier materials. They are difficult to fight and it might take a little bit. Make sure you spam Leia's Steel. It's a challenge, but it's absolutely worth it. Managing your materials like this keeps your gold free for what really matters: new gear, new food, and items. It's a little system that doesn't explain itself very well, but once you get it, you'll be absolutely destroying your enemies with your new powerful equipment. And those are my 5 biggest tips I wish I knew before starting Tales of Xillia. Got your own pro tips or tricks? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear how you tackle Tales of Xillia. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more JRPG guides and reviews, and as always, have a wonderful day.